Good evening, everyone. It is 6:01 p.m. on Thursday, March the 3rd, 2022. I am Jahan Habib, filling in for Mike Capuano, who is the chair of the planning board. With me tonight is Rob Buchanan, Aaron Gino, and Russell Pildes. So pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, this meeting of the Somerville Planning Board will be conducted via remote participation. A recording of these proceedings will be accessed at any time using the registration link at the top of our agenda. This meeting is being recorded. Today we have a number of items on the agenda. However, before we proceed with the agenda, I do know that my board members have a few items to mention for the record. Erin, would you please make your statement rather?
Yeah, thanks, Chair Pro Temp. So for the record, I was not able to attend in live the February 17th meeting of the planning board. However, I did watch the entirety of the recorded hearing and filed an affidavit that I did such thing with the city clerk.
Thank you, Erin. I believe, Russell, you also have a statement to make?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I have an identical statement to make that I was also not able to attend the planning board meeting on February the 17th, but I watched a video recording of the entire meeting and read the supporting documentation and filed an affidavit with the clerk.
Thank you very much, Russell. So returning to the agenda, we are going to take the items in order. So the first item on the agenda is 28-44 Broadway. I believe that the applicant has requested a continuance to the next planning board meeting, which is scheduled to occur on March the 17th. I would like to move to continue the 28-44 Broadway to March 17th planning board meeting, seconded by Rob. Roll call vote.
Rob votes aye.
Aaron votes aye.
Russell votes aye.
And the chair votes aye as well. So this item has been continued. The next item on our agenda is 15 McGrath Highway. My understanding from staff is that the covenant has not been signed. I would like staff to confirm that this is indeed the case.
This is Charlotte speaking. I can confirm that for a number of reasons, the applicant is planning on requesting a continuance tonight, and if the board would like, I can unmute the applicant so that they can speak and confirm that for the record.
Sure, Charlotte, thank you. Would you please unmute the applicant?
Mike Gerhart, you are unmuted.
Thank you, Charlotte. Mr. Chair, this is Mike Gerhart with Leggett McCall representing the 15 McGrath project, and I can confirm what Charlotte said. We're working hard with the city staff to finalize the covenant, but we're not quite there. And given that, we'd like to request a continuance of this hearing to the next date of the planning board.
Thank you very much. I believe it would be appropriate at this time to grant that continuance. Therefore, the acting chair motions to continue 15 McGrath Highway to the March 17th planning board meeting. The chair, seconded by Erin, the chair moves to vote aye.
Rob votes aye.
Aaron votes aye.
Russell votes aye.
Thank you very much. This matter has been continued to the March 17th planning board meeting. The next item on our agenda is 600 Windsor Place. From what I understand, there has been new information provided both by the applicant as well as the staff. And I would certainly like to open up this matter to public testimony. However, before we do that, I would like to see if the applicant or applicant's representatives are available and if they're willing to present. And if they are, would you please unmute them?
This is Raisa speaking. I see Greg Kurowski here, and Greg, you have been unmuted.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. My name is Greg Karcheski from 31 Union Square. I'm with US2, the master developer working on the Union Square revitalization. We do have some progress to report since our last meeting together. You may remember at the last meeting, one of the points of discussion was around some conditions that were in the staff memo. We've since our last meeting worked with staff, and I believe there was a supplemental memo provided to the board with updated conditions, and we support the conditions in that memo and appreciate working through that with staff. And then I'd also like to share my screen if possible, and address the two other items that were mentioned. One was regarding the community path, and then we were also requested to provide a view from Prospect Hill.
This is Raisa speaking. Greg, I'm going to make you a presenter right now. You should be able to present now.
Very good. Okay. Just confirm the board can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay, terrific. So the first item was Mr. Chair had asked about the community path. We've understood through the process, both with our neighborhood meeting and conversations that we've had with community members and the city, that there's interest in a community path. We also understand that there's more design work and planning that needs to be done, on 600 Windsor and adjacent parcels to bring it to fruition. In our master plan special permit application that we filed with staff, we affirmatively stated that our building project wouldn't preclude the idea of the path. And certainly are willing to continue the dialogue with the city and the neighboring parcel owners to explore how it might work. The graphical representation, or a graphical representation, was requested. As you can see on the screen, we're depicting how the path would meander, along the north edge of our property line, and presumably would connect to, in a very similar way to the way it was represented by the development to the east. And we'd look to provide connectivity to parcels to the east and to the west as the design evolves. And then moving to the second item that was requested was a simple graphic to depict the view from Prospect Hill. So hopefully you can see that here on the screen. In the center of the graphic is in the blue building is the 600 Windsor property. Next to it and comparable in height is Boynton Yards building 2. And then you can see the image 101 South Street further left in the screen. And then on the right side of the screen, you can see the D2 buildings, which are under construction. And then in the distance, the parcel D3 project, which will be the next Union Square project constructed. And so, wanted to share this with the board in response to the question that was received last time, and, appreciate the chance to be here.
Thank you very much for sharing this information. So before I open things up for public testimony, does anyone on the board have any questions for the applicant or the staff at this time? Seeing none, I will open up this public hearing for anyone who wants to speak in support of the application. So please use this raised hand button on your side, and I will certainly call on you in the order that I see you. So I have Ron Cavallo raising his hand. Would he be unmuted, please?
This is Raisa speaking. Ron, you have been unmuted. Please say your name and address for the record before proceeding, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good. Yes, my name is Ron Cavallo, and I live at 70 Victoria Street, West Somerville, Mass. I support the project. Simple statement, I do. I think it's good for the city. We need the revenue. It's pro-development. It's a good project. I do not have a handle on some of the exterior detail. I would really like to know more. Has the presenter shown the exterior details?
Yes, I believe there has been a display of the exterior details, and those details are available on the Summer Road Planning website, so you can certainly reference them.
Right.
Whether
Will the building go to the design review commission?
so this is a public comment period. It is not intended to be a question and answer period.
Okay.
I would appreciate your comments.
My apologies. So I'm going to recraft my statement and say that I support the project, but hope that the project is detailed in a quality fashion so that the building has longevity and architectural importance. Now, it doesn't mean that the budget needs to be affected. It just means that it needs to be thought out and crafted according to the budget, but there are good ways to spend money and other ways that are not so good to spend money, so that the building is designed for longevity and looks really great. I also want to add that I own a significant piece of real estate in the right outside of Union Square, and I think this benefits the neighbors greatly. Certainly is good for the city budget, and I'm very pro tax supporting projects. That's my comment.
Thank you, Mr. Cavallo. I'd like to give anyone else who's in this meeting an opportunity to speak in support of this project.
This is Raisa speaking. Mr. Chair, I do not see any raised hands.
Thank you very much, Raisa. So I'm going to shift to anyone opposed to this project. If they would please raise their hand, and I will certainly call on you in the order that I see you. Great. I see Tori Antonino. Would it be possible to unmute Tori Antonino, please?
This is Raisa speaking. Tori, you have been unmuted. Please state your name and address before proceeding.
Hi, my name is Tori Antonino. I live at 65 Boston Street. So I missed the introduction to this building, but I just want to give some general pointers that you want to see in all developments going forward. So I'm just going to request that the applicant does a green or biosolar roof. And if it is a apartment, a household living, that there be a space like a roof deck or a backyard. And I'm not sure how much space is required for open space, but just to consider the value of life of people, and maybe like balconies are a thing. I don't know the look of the building, but remind just for people to have space outside. It's really important. And that's kind of across the board. And please plant native plants. You can consult with public space and urban forestry. We're trying to regenerate the ecosystem, and right now we don't have a law in place that requires developers to do it, but it's an easy switch. And hopefully you will consider that, and you can reach out to the Urban Forestry Committee if you need more information. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tori. I would like to scan through to see if there's anyone else who is opposed, speaking in opposition. I see Ron Cavallo's hand raised. Is that a holdover from the previous? I'll give it one more scan through. Seeing none, I will go ahead and close the public testimony portion of this meeting. And I'd like to open it up to the board for any additional questions for the staff or for the applicant. Yes, Erin, please.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. I've got maybe just a clarifying question, perhaps both for the applicant and staff, but just sort of reflecting on some of the public comments. To be clear, what we're looking at today is a master plan special permit, which if my understanding holds, and staff, please clarify if I'm incorrect, means that we would basically say, okay, this is the master plan, and then when the individual components, which in this master plan looks like there's 3 for a civic space, a thoroughfare, and a building, those would all come before the board for their own individual component review. Am I understanding that correctly? Perhaps someone from staff can speak up.
Yes, Mr. Chair, if I could speak, this is Andrew Graminsky, Planner, Planning, Preservation, and Zoning. To respond to your comment, Ms. Gino, you are correct. This is, again, a master plan special permit, which is sort of the 10,000-foot view perspective of the project, and it's required if you're in the Boynton Yards Master Plan Overlay District. And then each project, so the building, the civic space, and the thoroughfare will go through its own entitlement process via site plan approval.
Great. Thank you for confirming. And that was absolutely my understanding. And I felt like it was just maybe useful to clarify this right now. Yeah. So in general, that was sort of my comment. And you know, following up maybe on some of the comments made from last meeting, I'll sort of stop my questioning in case there's follow-up that needs to happen there.
Thank you very much, Aaron. Rob, please go right ahead.
Hi, thank you. Yeah, I have a question for staff. I was rereading the staff memo with respect to the number of parking spaces relative to the Boynton Yards cap, which, if I'm not mistaken, based on the memo, is 1,500 parking spaces. And the memo states that this project, I believe, if I'm understanding the memo correctly, this project would fall underneath that cap. And I guess I'm looking for confirmation of that, because when I go back and look at projects that we've approved thus far, at least for DLJ, I think we approved 1,320, and for 495 Columbia, I think we approved 180, which, if my math is right, that puts us at the 1,500 cap. So could staff clarify, like, where are we relative to that cap, and is it still a controlling point that we need to be mindful of? Thank you.
Yes, this is Andrew Graminsky again, and I can respond to Mr. Buchanan's comment on the parking cap, and I can provide all the numbers for you if that is helpful. So you are close. The total number, including this proposal, the number is at 1,487 parking spaces. So 13 spaces shy of that 1,500 parking cap. DLJ, with their approved master plan, including the amendment, are at 1,117 parking spaces. CV Properties, or 495 Columbia, was 170 parking spaces. And then with this project, it brings it to that number that I mentioned, 1,487. And then the project that's being proposed tonight is proposing 200 parking spaces.
Thank you. I mean, I guess this is a point of confusion then, because I'm looking at the DLJ master plan special permit, and I'm just reading what it says, which says master plan area will not exceed 1,320 spaces. Is maybe their document isn't accurate? I don't know. I don't know if there was something out of alignment there, but something doesn't jive.
Mr. Buchanan, could you just state that number one more time? Thank you.
Yeah, it's page 151 of the Boynton Yards Master Plan Special Permit Amendment filed by DLJ. It just says the total off-street parking count for the master plan area will not exceed 1,320 spaces.
Are you looking at the amendment, master plan amendment that was approved a couple just in January?
Yeah, with the addition of building 5 and 6.
Okay. The document that we're looking at has the 1,117. Is the document you're looking at the one that's on the report and decision page of the city website?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I will have to get back to you on that because that is not what we're familiar with, or the number that we were aware of, and at least the number that we looked at in their application materials. So if we could get back to you and sort this out, that'd be greatly appreciated.
Great. Yeah, that would be, I mean, I was just speaking for myself now. That would be helpful to me because,
Sure.
you know, in order for me to be supportive of this, voting yes on this, I guess I would want clarity on that.
Yep, absolutely.
Great. Thank you very much, Rob. And I do want to mention that we will not be voting on this matter. Therefore, staff should have ample time to locate the necessary information and also come back at the next meeting. I wanted to check to see if there are any other questions or items that need to be raised by my fellow board members. Yes, Aaron, please.
And of course, I muted myself when I started talking. Yeah, so I actually have another one on the alleyway that's contemplated on the eastern border of this particular master plan. And I know there was some discussion about amending the recommended conditions to basically say, okay, there's going to be an alleyway on the eastern side of this parcel, an alleyway on the western side of the DLJ parcel next to it, and trying to sort of combine those two alleyways to minimize the curb cut. I was wondering if there's been, like, I'm just trying to wrap my head around what that looks like and kind of how that meshes with not only those two parcels, but the bend in the road that happens right there in the intersection, along with the sort of contemplated dealing with the jog on Windsor Street. So I just wondering if maybe staff has anything available today to present or some visuals maybe for next time to help me wrap my head around what that jog looks like on Windsor Street, also in context of the sort of contemplated combo curb cut situation.
This is Andrew Graminsky. Again, so this is a question that we'll probably have to bring up with mobility staff as they do the review of most of the transportation related items. So if we could just take that question and get back to it at the next meeting, that would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, that would really help me too. I think thinking through some of the amendments to the conditions on this master plan special permit and trying to understand like sort of what we're asking for and why. I know you presented some graphics last time. I had a little bit of a hard time following them without being able to ask questions sort of in the moment.
Yep, staff is happy to get that information to the board.
All right, thank you, Andrew.
Great, thank you very much, Aaron. Rob, please go right ahead.
Thank you. I wanted to tag on to my member Gino's comment because I think I just wanted to say I very much support getting more detail around specifically the streetscape plan for Boynton in particular. It's my understanding that the city has been working on looking at the streetscape around Boynton and Union and looking at potential changes to improve traffic flow. And, you know, I just think, you know, we have approved many projects now for Boynton and there's still more to go. And as I've said in previous meetings, you know, I'm increasingly less persuaded that that we've got a plan to support, you know, the streets and to make sure that they're functioning. So I would very much be interested in seeing something, some diagrams or preliminary studies that show how we're going to get all of these vehicles into and out of Boynton Yards via Webster, Medford, and the southern streets that go down to Cambridge. So again, that's just really a comment that I'm making. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Rob. Are there any other questions? Great. So I'm going to offer up a few of my comments. I certainly concur with Rob regarding the streetscape and also the traffic flow. I think the applicant has done a great job with the conceptual community path connectivity and also the view from Prospect Hill. Those two items were items that I was looking for some additional insight on. However, I think as we look at the Boynton Yards project, it's going to be very helpful for staff to provide us with I would say a comprehensive understanding of flow of traffic, pedestrians, and so forth. So I'm not sure if this would be possible for our next meeting, but I would like to get staff comments on that.
Yes, this is Andrew Grabinski again. We can provide that information to the board. Or I will attempt to try to find the best and most up-to-date data as possible.
Great. Thank you very much, Andrew. Since we took public testimony, I would also like to keep the written period open up until March 11th, which I believe is a Friday, for any written comments from the members of the public. So having closed off this item, I believe that we should continue this to the March 17th Planning Board meeting. Therefore, the acting chair motions to continue 600 Windsor Place to the March 17th Planning Board meeting, seconded by Russell. Acting chair votes aye.
Rob votes aye.
Aaron votes aye.
Also votes aye.
Okay, this item has been continued to March 17th Planning Board meeting. Having gone through the agenda, I wanted to ask my planning board members to see if there's any other items of note that should be mentioned for the record. Yes, Rob, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up, I believe our policies and procedures indicate that we're due to do our annual update re-election of chair, vice chair, and clerk. And so perhaps that's something that should be on our next agenda. I think we're overdue.
Thank you for mentioning that, Rob. This is directed to the staff. Would this be possible to be included in perhaps the next planning board meeting?
This is Raisa speaking. We can add it to the agenda for the next meeting.
Thank you very much, Raisa, and thank you, Rob. Are there any other items of note? Seeing none, I'm going to move forward to close the planning board meeting. It is 6:29 p.m. This was a relatively quick one. The acting chair moves to adjourn the planning board meeting, seconded by Rob. The chair votes aye.
Rob votes aye.
Aaron votes aye.
Russell votes aye.
Thank you very much, and thank you to staff. We will see you back on March 17th. Have a wonderful evening.
Thanks.
Thank you, everybody.
Take care.